Well, if you can't make your bad guy Hitler, you might as well just have him kill a bunch of small children. Welcome to the Daily Neitz. It's a daily look at classic films, modern cinema, and occasionally the world of professional wrestling. And tonight I want to talk about Fritz Lang's 1931 film, M. That's the whole title, the letter M. This was Fritz's first film with sound. He had done silent films up to that. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more because I'm watching his film Metropolis next week. This is his first film with sound. So in my head, I've always kind of registered it as one of my favorite silent movies, even though it's not. And that's because I think over a third of the film is silent. There's no sound. There are long shots where you just see people moving and things happening, but no sound. And while that was a decision that Fritz Lang made to save some money, Luna wants to play fetch. Something he did to save some money, it adds to the suspense and adds to the tension of this movie as this gang of criminals and the police are trying to find this one man who just keeps killing kids. But it's not like suspense movies now where like, who is it? You know exactly who the murderer is the whole way through the film. The suspense is, how are they going to catch him? Can they catch him? And what are they going to do if they catch him? And that's the really interesting dynamic with this movie, because there's the main, I don't even say there's protagonists. The police aren't really doing enough to help the citizens of Germany, Nazis. The criminals want to catch this guy so they can expand their own criminal empires. The cops get off their case a little bit more, but they want him just to kill him. And of course, our hero, not hero, the killer is killing people. So there's nobody's like really in the right, but nobody's 100% in the wrong either. The police are doing their job. The criminals want a murderer off the street, which is great, and the murderer can't really control his impulses. So it's a really interesting dynamic between the three groups of people, which just builds so much tension as they're all cat and mousing with each other. It's just great. It feels like a modern movie. It doesn't feel like it's 75 years old, because the shots are really dynamic. I mean, the sets look like sets a little bit, but everything else is very modern with the storytelling and the cutting and the voiceovers and all of that. It's very, very fun. Well, not fun, but it's a very engrossing film, even in today's film climate. I do want to talk about Peter Lorre. This was his first major film role. He plays the murderer, whose name is escaping me. It's Hans Beckert, I think, it's something along those lines. But Peter Lorre is amazing. He adds so much depth to this man who is described using a single letter throughout the course of this film. The title comes from he's being tailed by beggars. One of them realizes who he is, and he does a chalk of an M on his hand and slaps it on his back. So the man is defined by a single letter, which stands for murderer, of course. But he adds so much depth with how he's mentally ill and he can't control his impulses, and he regrets everything he does and he lives with the shame of everything he does, but while he's doing it he can't control it. And that is so powerful, especially in older films when there was like the age of the code and you couldn't have toilets on screen because they're immoral. How dare you have a sympathetic villain? But he's a sympathetic villain, even though he's one of the worst villains you can be if your name isn't Adolf. This film was made just as the Nazis were rising to power, so there's a lot of illusions there. That's why I keep name-dropping Hitler. Name-dropping Hitler. Been a long day. What are they saying? Yeah, sympathetic villain, which adds so much to it. And the other really interesting thing, I said before that a lot of the movie is silent. That includes musically. There's no score. Any music you hear is either performed or whistled or whatever in the universe. On the screen is a character making the music. And that is how he gets captured. He always whistles in the Hall of the Mountain King when he's in his trance, when he's in kill mode. And that's how he gets caught. A blind man hears it and remembers hearing it the night of another murder. So it's very, very awesome use of that theme. The musical cue of a murder is happening. And you as the audience catch on to that moments before the beggars do. Moments before the characters do. So you feel a little bit ahead of the game, a little smarter than the other characters, but not so much that you feel bored waiting for the characters to figure it out. It's wonderful timing in that. A lot of mystery TV shows, movies, a lot of suspense media doesn't do that very well. So props for Fritz Lang figuring that out 75 years ago. Like I said last night, this is one of my favorite classic movies. I saw it for the first time when I was in college, and it was... no, it must have been right when the 2009 Criterion version came out. Watched it in college, and not gonna lie, the first time I watched it, it was a long day that day. I fell asleep about halfway through, but I woke up and I was still engrossed by the end of the movie. And I watched it again a few years back, and then again tonight. And every single time I watch it, I pick up on more little subtle details, and the story's like just that much more engrossing every single time. This is a must-watch for film buffs. Must see this movie. It is a classic for a reason. It is dangerous from the time it came out, and it still holds tight today. The filmmaking techniques are still techniques used today. Holds up very, very, very well, and you can't have a stronger villain than a guy who murders kids. Can't say that enough. That's all I got on M. Fantastic movie. Jump-started Peter Lorre's career, which eventually led him, I believe, to be in the movie I'm looking at tomorrow, which I will find out if I am disastrously incorrect tomorrow, but that film is The Maltese Falcon. Classic film noir from, I believe, the 40s. I'm going to look at that tomorrow, but until then, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave me a comment in the comment section below about how you think I'm Hitler for some reason, because I'm sure somebody's going to say that eventually. It's a YouTube comment thread. That's what it's there for. But until tomorrow,